time once again to go racing.
The pressure is really on now.
And it's pole position.
And it's pedal to the metal. Go, go, go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PSGL for the final PlayStation race of the night. 20 of the fastest drivers on the PS4 and the PS5 racing under the lights at the Sakir International Circuit. It is the Bahrain Grand Prix, a brand new game, brand new grid. Could we have a brand new champion as well? We will find out over the next 13 weeks. My name is Luke Etheridge, and joining me in the commentary box for this season is Mark Alimonda. Mark, hopefully we're going to have an absolutely fantastic season.
Well, we've had some fabulous races at Bahrain so far, starting with the PC last week, transitioning into the PlayStation tiers over the weekend, and of course today, F2 going on at the moment, having a particularly good race. But yeah, this is the tier that PSGL was built on, the F1 tier. I, of course, commentated on this one between season 18 to 21, so it's fantastic to be back with you. And yeah, I'm expecting, even though the grid maybe has lost a little bit of its strength and depth with some of the moves to PC, it still has a lot of elite drivers here, so I think we're in for a fabulous season. Yeah,
definitely does have a lot of elite drivers, and let's run you through then the grid for F1 this season on the PlayStation platform. And straight away, a very strong team at Mercedes. Last year's runner-up, VSR Duncan, alongside Casper, former F1 esports driver, and does look to maybe have found some of the pace that got him that Renault seat in esports. Joost and Zander, the new VSR signing, reigning F2 champion as VRT Balliner. He is joining the man who finished third last season. Susu and Isma in the McLaren, an all-Spanish pairing. Interesting to see what they can do. Mish and Christmas will be hoping for some good performances in the Aston Martin. An all-Vortex Racing team field for Alpine. Young Power, who appeared in some of the races last season with Season 27's F3 champion, when that was the top assist tier. M Short, seeing how he can do now with no line on the new game. Asakome and Daniako will be driving for the Ferrari team. Both CRG drivers, Blizzard and Midnight. Very good driver lineup for AlphaTauri. Shizu Ogiano and VRT Georges at Alfa Romeo. Fusilo and Jaquita, the two OP drivers at Haas. And then CRG Gamer, a former Constructors champion, alongside Will LG25 at Williams. Some very strong lineups there, Mark. Anyone which stands out at you particularly as being one that could challenge for this Constructors Championship?
Oh, I know it's probably the most boring answer ever, but it's so open, I think, especially in terms of the constructors pairings. I think some of the pairings are actually slightly different to what I expected them to be when the tier was first announced, but I think once we get into qualifying, we'll get a good idea of what the immediate pecking order is.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, we have seen some social races. Drivers will have been practicing more and more for this track, and it's interesting that you say we'll see the immediate pecking order when qualifying happens, because judging by the previous races we've had on the PC, judging by what we've seen on the PS, could well be a race to 11th place tonight.
Yes, it certainly is. The alternative strategy is very much, has been in recent F1 games, the risk reward can be huge for that. Of course, plunging yourself right into the middle of the mid-pack for lap 1 is not always going to be ideal. You can easily pick up wing damage, as you well know from League Racing yourself. But of course at Bahrain, a lot of the races in recent years very much have that pattern. They sort of hold around a lot of DRS trains early on. Then once the strategies play out in the second half of the race, that's where you usually get the thrilling action here at the Bahrain International Circuit.
Yeah, certainly. Hopefully we should see a fantastic race, and I think it will be one of those, but you don't really know right until the last second who is going to take the victory. Here is the calendar then for the PS division, very similar to what they're running on PC, except with that one extra race at the Canadian Grand Prix in the weeks 14th to the 18th of October. That is Bahrain, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, Silverstone, Austria, China, Japan, Canada, Mexico, USA, and then Brazil, the PS tier, the tier 1. We're finishing on the 8th of November, and you already mentioned slightly different grid lineup this year. Obviously some drivers have gone to PC. One driver who didn't make the move instantly to PC, who I'm going to be honest I thought was going to, was reigning champion Wilson Hughes, although he is not taking part in PS. Do expect to see him perhaps as a reserve later on, and there is now that opportunity for someone else to take the title. There is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there's only one driver on this grid, and that is Blizzard, who has won the PSGL F1 title before.
Yes, that is correct. CRG Gamer, the closest outside of that, a two-time runner-up, came desperately close in Season 18 in particular, and also pushed Blizzard quite hard in Season 21. So he does have experience of fighting up there, and the CRG boys, they of course have a wealth of racing experience in various leagues, and it would not surprise me at all if one of the championship contenders, maybe two, will come from that group. Of course, Duncan, he had a superb season, nearly won the championship, was just kind of ran out of gas right at the end, as Wilson just powered his way to the championship. But based on that form, he's got to be up there as a potential contender. But of course, we've got some really talented rookies. I mean, you mentioned Xander, I believe, was the F2 champion last season, Luke, and it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do in his first season in the top tier. And the OP drivers, they're a relatively new esports squad, but from what I've seen, quite a few of their drivers have impressed me. So I think it's a very open championship. There's massive opportunity here to stamp their authority. I mean, for Blizzard, the motivation is there to become a triple champion, which is such a rare feat. Only 3 drivers in the history of PSGL F1 have won 3 or more titles.
Yeah, and quite often it's been once drivers have stopped winning the titles, they've very rarely been able to get back into that championship winning form. And Blizzard, judging by his performances last season, did very well, finished in 4th in the championship, did finish 2nd around this circuit, so he might have a fantastic chance. But the last time we raced around here, the full circuit, was season 26. If you might remember back to the start of season 28, that was when we tried the experiment with the short track, and that caused absolute chaos. Should be a bit more of a normal race tonight, as normal as PlayStation League racing can be. If you follow PSGL on Twitter, you will have seen that little poll going up on who could end up taking the championship. Used, Duncan, Blizzard and Midnight were the 4 drivers mentioned, Mark. Anyone outside of that you might expect to be up there this season?
Oh, well, you got to look at people like Casper, wealth of experience, esports experience. I mean, he's had rotten luck over the years in this tier, and even in pre-season that seemed to continue. I mean, he had a fine run at the pre-season race of France, and then he got that dreaded 2-tire compound glitch, and I felt so bad for him because he did a really different strategy for France there, and it nearly paid off for a really strong finish. So I'm hoping Casper, who's a driver I respect a lot, gets a bit more luck this season so he can actually really reflect some of the results. However, there is one driver I think a lot of people will be keeping an eye on, and that is VRT Georges. Very impressive, very, very young, especially compared to you and I. But Georges is definitely sort of the one to watch outside the established names for sure.
Yeah, definitely did do well in pre-season. I know Casper was doing okay in qualifying in Austria before he came across a very slow car on the racing line. Absolutely no idea who was driving that one, but I think it does show everyone why I decided to stick to the commentary box. But anyway, enough of this, let's head into the qualifying session. Drivers are now starting to head out onto the circuit, and unsurprisingly, quite a mix of tyre compounds. We all seen a few we're seeing one driver go out on the intermediates. This is something you normally see drivers do on the PC, just to make sure that their tyres, that their setup, everything is right with their car, everything is right with their steering wheel and monitor, of course. I doubt we'll be needing intermediate or wet tyres in the race somehow.
No, I think I'm not sure if it's the same on this game because I don't look the data so deeply as I used to, but on some of the previous F1 games, the probability of rain here was always set to 0, so I would not expect that to be any different this time.
No, definitely not. Let's see, though, what the first driver can do. That's going to be going out on a hot lap to get this season underway. And it is going to be VSR Duncan, who's gone straight into the pits. So, not wanting to use too many tyres. We'll see who the next car is out on the circuit. Obviously, this game is fixed what tyres you can have, actually. You aren't allowed to change your tyres. Georges, he's heading into the pits as well. All happy that he's got his setup working. Let's see what Mish can do. Took a victory under the lights at Singapore last season. What can he do around the Bahrain International Circuit? Down this 1 kilometre pit straight then in the Aston Martin, breaking at the 100-metre board. Slight lock up on that front right there. Goes a bit wide through 1, which compromises your line into turn 2. And then you've got this long run, slightly uphill, heading towards turn 4. DRS open once again on the Aston Martin, braking into turn 4 is a possible overtaking opportunity, and if you don't get it done there, you'll see cars battling all the way down this S section. Just running a bit wide there, Mish, 27.4 for that first sector. Stays off the curb at turn 7. Don't be surprised if you see a victim of that curb. Has happened in many of the PC tiers and some of the lower PS ones as well. Turn 9 and 10, always a tricky corner, always very easy to just snatch a break through there, even more so on this game as the handling model has changed slightly. Down the third DRS straight then on this circuit. Turn 11, though, not really a real overtaking opportunity unless there is some differences in the tyres. Mish looks to be taking it a bit easy on this lap at the moment. Maybe just trying to set a bit of a banker, make sure that he's got some lap in place for later on as he now comes around turn 12. You can see him just short shifting there, having a very nice time of it at the moment. Down towards the final double apex right-hander of 14 and 15. Will the Aston Martin decide to come into the pits, or is he going to finish this banker lap for now? Mish heads towards the finish line, 127.1. So taking it, as we said, very easy indeed. And that just shows you how easy he was taking it. Christmas comes across the line, his teammate, a 124.821. Pole position in F2 earlier was a 124.4. So expect to see these guys maybe going a couple of tenths faster than that. But it just shows the different tactics everyone is showing at the moment. You've got some drivers who haven't bothered to set a fast lap straight away. Some, like Mish, who've tried to put a banker in. And now M Short, Christmas, and Giselle Ogiano, who've gone straight out there on the soft tyres. They look like they're probably going for this pole position.
Yeah, I think so. But, you know,
sorry to interrupt, Mark. Christmas has got it wrong. I don't know if he was going for a second lap there, but I mentioned that turn 7 curve. He has speared across the track out of this session, and it's a good job for the Aston Martin driver. He got a fast lap in straight away.
Yeah, bizarre incident there, and I'm just trying to go on board with, M Short. Yeah, he has speared off, must have gone to that curb. So yeah, surprising going for a second run, and that's at that time at 124.821. That's not going to stand, you suspect, unless we get a mass invalidations later on, because the track does evolve a fair amount here. So yeah, that's a costly mistake at the start of this campaign, because that will probably put him well down the order by the end. But you know, as you know, the alternate strategy is powerful here, of course, so it's not all lost for him yet, but that's a serious mistake. In terms of fastest sector time so far, 27.3 for Christmas was actually the fastest sector 1 time, and a 36.3 for, oh no, it's now updated again. So now Azicom now goes to the top at 124.665. Right, another driver who impressed in pre-season, kind of fell apart late on in some of those pre-season races, but he does seem to have pretty decent raw speed, so he's another one to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. He has improved since I first commentated on him in other leagues, where that raw speed has always been there, but maybe just that consistency, and we'll see if he can build that over this season. PSGL really a league that does award consistency like F1. Top 10 get points. Unlike F1 though, it's only 16 for a win, so you always need to make sure you are just picking up them points, and also top 10 fastest lap will get a point if they manage to get it. And there we go, Blizzard 124.579. We see the AlphaTauri driver coming towards the finish line, fastest of everyone in the middle sector, setting that early marker. BRT Georges coming around the final couple of corners now. Doesn't look like he's going to be challenging for the fastest time at the moment. Might put him in and around Xander and Christmas. backs off towards the end, gets that all-important 11th place for now on a 1:25.285. Still, though, 6 drivers yet to set a lap time. Duncan, one of those, heading onto a lap now, but he has invalidated.
Yeah, a curious time from George's there. I'm just trying to see if he was backing off of any of the sectors. Yeah, he lost a lot of time in Sector 2, so he must have made a mistake there. He was 4/10 off Blizzard's Sector 2 alone, so I think that explains the deficit in time at the moment. But of course, as we saw with Bahrain on the Tier 1 PC, perhaps he's going for that P11. That could also be a possibility. We'll find out towards the end of the session if that's the case. At least 1 or 2 of the drivers will be having that tactic in mind.
Yeah, definitely. We have got one of the reserve drivers in tonight. CRG Benjamin did take part in F1 last year, former F2 champion. He's reserving in place of Young Power tonight. 1:24.9 that would have been, but it has invalidated. And reserve drivers, their points do count towards the Drivers' Championship. They aren't eligible, though, for the Constructors' Crown. And here is a former winner of that Constructors' Crown in Season 27. Came so close to making it 2 in a row alongside Wilson Hughes last time around. Let's see what CRG Gamer can do on this hot lap. One of the experienced heads in this top tier. He'll be looking for a really good performance, I think, this season. Maybe a bit like Blizzard, a bit like Casper, a chance to rekindle some of those old glories.
Yeah, well, he's just gone purple in Sector 1. Fastest of anybody in Sector 1. Seems a pretty solid lap so far. Always tricky, this braking zone into 9, but that's a nice apex there. Gets onto the power nicely. Now getting onto the DRS. May get a little bit of slipstream from the car ahead. It's kind of just within that range, the McLaren. I believe that's Suso on an out lap. Now flying around this very satisfying section of corner here. Should be flat all the way to the end of Sector 2. And yeah, it's purple in Sector 2 as well. So this is looking a very fast lap from CRG Gamer so far.
Yeah,
oh, he's invalidated.
Yeah.
Oh, he ran wide. Oh, he ran wide out of 13. Oh, that was looking such a good lap for him. But yeah, tiniest little mistake, and the track limits were enforced. You know, track limits in Bahrain, no controversy about that in F1 this year, and it's happened again.
Yeah, game of 1:25.1 in the end. It was looking like a very good lap, though, from him, so a shame that he's made that mistake. His teammate 27.5 in the first sector. Well, LG, some people perhaps surprised to see him keep his seat in F1. Didn't score any points last season despite qualifying, I think, on pole for the French Grand Prix and putting in a fantastic performance in that race before a late puncture sent him crashing out. Maybe this could be the season where we see him put in some good performances in the Williams. Let's see how he copes through turns 11 and 12. Turn 12, a bit like we mentioned the tricky corners. Turn 7, we've seen Claim Christmas earlier. Turn 9 and 10 gets problems, and you can see as well slides his way around turn 13. That 12 and 13 section as well, you hit the curb just wrong. These F1 cars will very easily come round on you, and there's not a lot you can do to stop it.
Yes, I mean, you know, given the setups you have to have here, turn 6 and 7 and, you know, 13, they're the hardest corners on the track in terms of downforce, because you have to run a fairly low wing setup here, otherwise you're an absolute sitting duck in the DRS zones towards turn 1 and of course to turn 4. So sometimes you can just get a snap on the back, and then, you know, by the time you've hit the brakes, it's too late.
Yeah, certainly. CRG Midnight then. That is a good lap for him on the medium tyres. 1:25.793 puts him into 12th place for now. I think we will see him go out on the softs later on just to try and secure a bit higher up the order, as you are seeing more and more improvements from the various drivers now. Suso just coming through the Sector 2 point. He is flying at the moment in that McLaren. Very good lap for him. 27.4 and a 36.3. About 9/10 up on his earlier lap. So that would put him in and around where his teammate is at the moment. But don't be surprised to see him gain a bit more time in this final part of the lap onto the final DRS straight. Like you said, straight line speed so crucial at this circuit. And Suso goes up into 9th place. So Blizzard's still looking good at the top of the timing charts at the moment with, I think about 6 minutes remaining in this session.
Yes, I mean, I've been looking at a lot of the onboards. Some of the drivers are definitely struggling a lot in Sector 2. They're certainly running lower wings, but they're just struggling to balance the car into that particular sector, particularly just after Sector 1, the little chicane, and then, you know, getting onto the traction after turn 10. That's proving to be a bit tricky for them. That's where most of the time is being lost, and those who are quick in Sector 2, they're the ones who seem to be all the way up towards the front of the grid, because the times in Sector 1 and Sector 3 across the board in the top 12 are very similar, but Sector 2 is where the difference is being made.
Yeah, Mish actually went fastest without going purple in any of the sectors, which is kind of why we missed that one. Went under the radar from Mish, but a 1:24.555, 24 thousandths, separating the top 3 drivers at the moment. But this man, CRG Blizzard, purple, Sector 1 and Sector 2. Could be the first driver to get into the 1:24.4s then and really lay a marker down. Not too much time left in this session. Bit of a wobble through the final corners. Will that have cost him any time? 1:24.417, 1.5 tenths faster than everyone else. CRG Blizzard is looking in imperious form in qualifying tonight.
Wow, this is almost a flashback to season 22. He won here in the opening race of season 22, absolutely dominated that day, and if he can get on the front of the grid, we've seen CRG Blizzard, doesn't tend to be the best driver when he's fighting, among the pack, but he is very Sebastian Vettel-like in that when he gets to the front, he can just control the race in a very considered and smooth fashion. And this is looking like a really good. Perhaps some of the drivers who have left F1 has kind of opened the door for someone like Blizzard to sort of get back to the top. But we see still a long way to go. We've got a fair amount of the session to go. I can't see what's this yellows again. I think there's some drivers on their end laps, but just keeping an eye out who else is out there at the moment. I think most are coming back to the pits to prepare for their final runs.
Yeah, most of the drivers now, I think, in the pits or heading back into them. We've got a couple, Will and Isma, just heading out on an outlap. Georges has gone up into 5th place. 4 minutes 40 remaining then. Blizzard, Mish, Asakome, Fuzilo and Georges, your top 5 at the moment. Alfa Romeo looking pretty good in 5th and 6th. Olgiano there. Then it's Casper, M. Short, Duncan, Xander. Christmas, who crashed out earlier on, has that Alt Strat pole position. It's interesting to see if he can stay there. He might not be too annoyed about that 11th place as things stand at the moment, and that is going to be really interesting to see drivers going for that. I know I was helping out Ash in F2 earlier by telling him what time 10th place had set, trying to get to aim for that position. And I think a lot of the drivers, if they've got any engineers, if they're not looking like they're going to be quick enough for 1st place, they're going to be saying, tell me what time is in 11th place. That's my aim.
Absolutely. I get the sense that Christmas is not going to stay there by the end. Just looking at Will, LG at the moment, of course, kind of struggled on his first flying run, went majorly wide at turn 13, as we saw on another run again. Let's see what he can do this time. Last time out, his Sector 1 was a 27.5. Let's see if he can improve that. And yes, he has improved by nearly 2 tenths. That's a very decent first sector from LG. Heads down towards the tight left-hander, or right-hander, I should say, of turn 8. Gets a nice, calm exit from there. This is looking a much better lap from him so far. Now, getting late as he dares onto the brakes, getting a smooth apex, not taking too much curb, because that does slow down the spinning of the right-hand side tyres, which can affect your acceleration. DRS open, and then late braking, much as you can, flying the car into that. And now this is where he messed up big last time, so he would have learned from that. But now, as soon as you hit that line for Sector 2, that's when you've got to be hitting the brakes, and that's a much better line. Took a sort of shallower line to ensure that he didn't make a mistake, taking as much of the curb as he possibly can, and heading into the final corner here. This is, I think this could be a time to sort of push him up, perhaps towards the likes of Game and Suzo. Let's see where he ends up though. LG crosses the line, and it's going to be P11, so he's in the reverse pole position, so to speak, in terms of the alternate strategy. So that was a very marvellous lap for him there in that respect.
Yeah, green in Sector 1, green in Sector 3. Not in Sector 2, but I think that can be attested to the fact he braked quite a bit earlier this time around after what happened to him on his previous run. Isma has invalidated his first attempt, so trying to take advantage of the free air. Not able to do so. We'll see how he can do heading towards the line. Did appear in a few of the races towards the end of last season. Only got 20th in the championship in the end. This is his first full season in PSGL, so we'll have to see what the Spanish driver can do. Just trying to avoid that car running into turn 1. And that's the thing, even if the cars aren't holding you up, it's just that little distraction, that little thing in the back of your mind. You're never quite sure what they can do, and you've got to have so much trust in everyone else. I mean, these are absolutely fantastic drivers, of course, in this tier, but you just don't want someone hitting the racing line when you're not expecting it. And you can see there, Isma did go faster, but he has invalidated, so that is going to be qualifying most likely over for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna take a lot of those tires out already. He's had to do one lap, then another. Mitchie actually down on his first one, but he's got dirty AFs and drivers ahead, and that's definitely affected him slightly. But you know, he can definitely get that time back. He has got one of the fastest sector twos, only slightly off as he comes fastest third time so far. And it's a little bit deep into 10, I think. May have lost a little bit of time there, maybe half a tenth. It wasn't ideal apex entry for that particular corner. Blizzard is about to, Blizzard has started his final lap, and ahead of him is Juiced actually. Juice is now on a very good time actually, looking at so I think Juice is going to be looking to P19 at the moment. And has he backed off? Yeah, it looks like he's backed off actually. So back to Mitchie. Yeah, Mitchie's backed off as well. I think he's going for another run.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers just trying to see when they can set their runs later on. Gamer's not improving at the moment. He's a tenth and a half down as he comes heading towards the final corner. And just look at all the cars up ahead of him. I think it was F2 qualifying in 2020 where it was Mick Schumacher came together with one of the slower cars just trying to find some space on this circuit. CRG Gamer's finding himself in a similar situation. Much better final part of the lap for him though, of course making a mistake earlier on. He goes into 13th position. Jack Eater, can he join his teammate in the top 10? He can indeed, only just so on a 124.718.
Blizzard is absolutely flying. You need to catch him as he goes around the final corner, fastest of anybody in the first two sectors.
Yeah, Blizzard setting a fantastic time at the moment. Checkered flag is out in this qualifying session. What can he do? 124.284 for Blizzard. Midnight's going pretty fast behind him as well, so this could look very good for the AlphaTauri team as Midnight in the end only goes into 15th position, just not having the pace that perhaps some of the drivers expected him to have. Fusilo crosses the line. He stays in his 4th position. Asakome dives into the pit lane in the end there. It's now going to be M Short. Benjamin had wheel problems, so the only Alpine in this session, 2nd place on his debut at the moment in F1. Great lap from M Short, showing that form that got him towards the F3 championship. Xander now reigning F2 champion coming towards the finish line. He's currently in 11th. Will he want to improve? He will indeed. Gets himself up into 2nd.
Wow, P2. Duncan's about to cross the line as well, but he's actually slowing down. Oh, he was trying to get, but he's only in P10, so he was probably in the worst position to finish. Casper now heading towards the line. I think he might, yeah, he's back off. He's coming to the pit lane. OP Zakata, I think he might be in lap. Suso's heading for the line now. No, he's coming back in. So that may be that. I don't see anyone else really on a representative run right now. So it looks like Blizzard has taken pole position, but you got to say though, you know, fantastic from Blizzard, but Xander, the F2 champion, on the front row immediately on his F1 debut. Great stuff.
Yeah, fantastic from him, but that gap, Blizzard, over 0.2 of a second, a massive yawning chasm in F1 league racing terms. 0.2 of a second ahead of Xander. M Short as well, his first race in the top tier. He's put in a brilliant performance to get into 3rd position, and I think Blizzard showing why in that poll earlier on the majority of people went for him. It was about 40%. I think ended up voting for Blizzard the last time I checked, and that is a very good performance from him. Jack Eater though, in that alternate strategy pole position, and some fast names further down. Used 3rd place in the championship last year, 2nd the year before. He's only 18th on the grid, and CRG Benjamin, reserve driver and a Formula F2 champion. Wheel troubles mean he's way down in 20th.
Well, hopefully he can fix those. The mechanics can get that wheel going again, because it'd be a shame if he missed out, because, you know, obviously being a reserve, he's not got a full-time seat at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. Hopefully he'll be able to get himself sorted. But it is Blizzard on pole position then. Xander is 2nd. M Short 3rd. Mish, Asakome, Fusilo, Georges, Odiano, and then the Dutch duo in the Mercedes of Casper and Duncan. 9th and 10th. Jack Eater will have that alternate strategy starting in 11th. Not a bad qualifying from Will LG in 12th position. Crispus is 13th. Not bad position considering he had that crash very early on. I think he'd have taken that soon after that. Gamer is 14th, and then Midnight, Suso, Daniako, Just, Isma, and Benjamin rounding out the grid. Very close indeed. All those that set a time within 0.8 of a second. It's kind of what we expect now.
Absolutely. I mean, you feel like the higher the tiers you get in PSGL, the tighter the qualifying sessions get. And, you know, I think some of the drivers are still kind of looking to find their ultimate pace. I think, you know, especially those in the top 5, have really kind of stepped ahead of the rest for the time being. Blizzard especially, I mean, that's some of the fastest pace we've seen from Blizzard in qualifying for quite some time in PSGL F1. You know, it's too early to say, is Blizzard truly back at the very top of PSGL F1 on the PlayStation side, but we're going to find out, see if he can become a 2-time race winner here.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned earlier on, the last time this tier raced around the full circuit was in the early days of F1 2020, season 26. He did finish second around this circuit. Houston Duncan and also Mish managed to get points as well, but actually quite a few drivers, I think, sometimes struggle around here. We know with tyre wear is sometimes very difficult to get right, as we're going to, I think, see in this race what everyone is going to go for around the Bahrain International Circuit. First used in 2004. It's been pretty much the same layout every year since, apart from the experiment in 2010. 3 DRS zones mean plenty of overtaking opportunities, plenty of DRS train opportunities as well. As we look at what tyres everyone has gone for, no real surprises. We knew the top 10 were on the softs. We expected the bottom 10 to go on the mediums, and that is exactly what they have done.
Yeah, I mean, starting on the hards isn't really worth it, mainly because they don't really last, you know, that much longer than the mediums. And given there's the 29 laps, you're going to lose so much time going deep into the race on the hards. You're going to have too few laps, I should say, on the softs to recover the time. So the soft runners, you're going to expect them to be pitting either for the hards or the mediums if they can stretch it out between laps 7 to 10. And then the medium runners, they're going to be starting to come in sort of the end of lap 17 to pit onto the soft. So you know, there may not be too much racing after the opening couple of laps until those strategies start to play out. The soft runners coming in first, sort of undercutting the medium runners, and then of course the medium runners will come back at them fiercely with soft rubber, which will be extremely fast in the closing stages of the race.
Yes, and let's not forget, all these plans could get absolutely blown apart if we do see an appearance of a safety car. We've already seen one driver lose it in qualifying in quite a big fashion. Everyone joining up together, that could happen, and we may then see a few drivers risking going for those hard tyres, taking them towards the end of this race. Is it going to be Blizzard then taking another victory around this circuit? One of his first victories on this league for a while. That's not around the Paul Ricard circuit, and given the fact that's where we're going next, this could be a very decent start to the season for CRG Blizzard. He's got the senior team alongside him, the Red Bull alongside the AlphaTauri with VSR Xander. What can he do? His first league race since leaving Vortex for Visceral Racing. Can he put in a good performance? Can M-Short do anything from third place? And what about those on the alternate strategy? Jack Eater starting 11th on those medium tyres. He will definitely be aiming for at least a podium and possibly that victory. The final cars then coming into position. We'll be able to get this Bahrain Grand Prix underway once they have done so. You can see green flag flying from the marshals there in the background. The lights coming on around this circuit. We've got 5 lights here at Bahrain. And we are underway. This race, a great start then from M-Short from second on the grid. Fantastic from him. Blizzard away cleanly. Mish trying to make some moves as well in the background. But it's going to be Blizzard, M-Short, Mish managing to hold on to that third place for now. I think Xander's going to try and fight back. There's a Ferrari going a bit slow in the background. That will be Asakomi, but it looks like everyone has got through the first couple of corners cleanly. No one spearing off in the background. You're seeing all sorts of moves as Midnight goes defensive from Used further back, but it is Blizzard leading through the first few corners. M-Short second, Mish in third. Xander, bit of a nightmare start for him, just too much wheel spin off the line. He's dropped down into 4th position. Asakomi losing 4 places. He's going to try and make that free as he thinks about diving up the inside of Shizu Ogiano. Just enough racing room given between the two, and he manages to get away with that. Gamer's gone up a few positions using his experience to get up now into 11th place. He's now the lead car on those medium tyres, but everyone through the first part of lap 1 cleanly, and it is Blizzard really with an ideal getaway thanks to him getting things cleanly and Xander having such a sluggish start.
Yeah, so Xander did struggle with wheel spin off the line a little bit. Sure had the best start of the top 4 easily, was threatening Blizzard for the lead, but Blizzard, you know, just calmly just cut the line and just wasn't going to let him get through at that point. So very clean start. A few wheels were bumping up at turn 4, and of course at the end of the short section after the beginning of sector 2. But overall, it doesn't look like anyone's picked up damage as far as I can tell. So it looks like all 20 drivers are going to be crossing the line for the start of lap 2.
Yeah, the timing chart does what the timing chart does on this game. Don't worry, no one has dropped that dramatically down the field. Interestingly, that this early on, Blizzard already we saw on the straight towards the final corner and on the main pit straight as well was going over quite severely to the right-hand side of the track just to try and maybe break that toe from M-Short. I wonder whether Blizzard's worried about a lack of straight line speed or just doesn't want to obviously give the advantage to those cars behind him. And it already looks as though Blizzard is pulling quite a gap out. No DRS, of course, until the next lap. First time they will be able to use it is on the run out of turn 3, coming up the hill towards turn 4 to end that first part of the lap. There are some battles further back. Will and Jack Eater getting very close together in the Williams and the Haas. You normally see these cars battling at the back of the grid. You don't normally see a Red Bull trying to get all the way around the outside of them. At turn 10, Used really trying hard to fight his way up through the field in these early stages, and that's the thing for those on this alternate strategy. You're going to want to be in about 11th or 12th place in these early laps, because once the DRS train starts, extremely difficult to overtake.
A lovely move by Juice there on the outside to get ahead of Jackada. I tell you what though, Blizzard's race pace already is absolutely astonishing. He's 1.4 seconds clear of Short already, which means Short, when the DRS is enabled, is going to be highly vulnerable to the likes of Michi and Xander behind. So, and if those three battle any at all, it's just going to hand the advantage further still to Blizzard. The only problem is, if Blizzard with this kind of pace, is he going to destroy his tyres early on? I mean, he's experienced enough to know that all the time management. He's been in this league for a very long time, ever present, I believe, since season 20. So he should know this. But at the moment, it's looking very good for the CRG driver, as now the battle really does, for the time being, focus on the battle for P2.
Yeah, definitely. It's been an absolutely fantastic start. Is it just, as you said, is he burning through his tyres too much at this moment in time? Mish on the back of M-Short, not able to do much. Blizzard's teammate Midnight managed to get ahead of Jack Eater. Then a fantastic battle through the final sector on the previous lap. He has moved his way up into 15th. We'll get the position changes up once again. Still, biggest loser out of those in the points is Asakomi, down 4 places. Jack Eater looked to be in a fantastic position. He's dropped down 5 positions. The biggest winners, Used moving up 4 and CRG Gamer moving up 3 places. Do not be surprised if they move up quite a bit more than that later on in the race. And M-Short, he's got a fantastic start. He was quick in qualifying, but a few times on this lap his lines have looked a bit wide perhaps, and gap now nearly 2 seconds. Mish is going to be wanting to get a move on and get this position done and seeing if he can do anything about the blistering pace of Blizzard.
Yeah, I mean, a Formula 1 car is at its absolute worst to drive in the opening laps of a race. You know, with a maximum fuel tank, and Michi easily sweeps past the driver there, M-Short, into P2. I was about to call the Alpine a Renault, that's why I paused for a second there. But up to, let's see what Michi can do. Can he have any response? He's got DRS, he'll get a few, maybe a 10th or so on Blizzard. For the time, Xander now kind of recovering from his sluggish start, trying to get back then. George is impressively in P5 up there as well. In terms of the winners and losers down the field, Juiced has gained 6 places, more than anybody from the start of the race. Benjamin's gained 5 from the back. A couple of early pit stops, I don't know what's going on there. Duncan, last season's championship runner-up, making a very early stop. I wonder if that's for wing damage. Possibly would have been. I will get back to you on that. But apart from other gains down the field, well, Gamer, certainly a big winner outside the top 10. Gained 5, now currently running in P9.
Yeah, both Williams in the points at the moment. Could we see what they did at the Hungarian Grand Prix? Could Will LG get his first points in the top tier? Well, since making that return to the top tier last season. And Duncan's gone for the medium tyres, which is very interesting indeed. Was he trying to get out of traffic and maybe trying to make a 2-stop work? He's got Suzu Oggiano ahead of him, who's gone for the hard tyres. They were very close before the pit stops, that's why they're very close after the pits, but we didn't see any obvious damage for the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, nothing on telemetry to suggest that they had damage, so it seems like a strategic decision. A 2-stop strategy, highly unusual. Oggiano on the hards, you'd imagine, would be trying to go all the way to the end, but he'll have very little performance by the time he gets there. I mean, the hards will go to the end from here, no problem. They're not going to blow up, but they're not going to have much performance because he'll be up against those on relatively fresh mediums and certainly very fresh soft tyres. So Duncan, he's got to clear. If he is doing a 2-stop truly, if he's going to make this work, but considering how far he is behind, telemetry may not say so, but they must have had damage, because pitting this early just doesn't make much sense to me.
No, fantastic battle going on for then 11th place at the moment between Christmas and Yost. Yost just coming off the worst in that one as he's trying to move his way up the order. And I've got to agree, I think there must have been at least some minor damage perhaps on their cars that have just made them wanting to go in. Of course, we've got side pod damage, rear wing damage, floor damage, all sorts of different damage that you can get now on F1 2021 that wasn't possible on the last game. If we go back to the battle further up the field, M Short just does not look to have the pace in that Alpine in the heavy car at the moment. He's now lost 1.4 seconds to Mish, who has closed that gap ever so slightly to 1.3 seconds. And he's got Xander and Georges all over the back of him. Casper not too far behind either. He's looking at the back of Fusilo. And then Asikomi, Gamer, Will, and the rest of those on the medium tyres are quite a bit further back at the moment. If you're someone like Casper and Fusilio, do you maybe think about pitting a lap or two earlier just to try something different? As Xander there, straight down the inside before we even get to turn one, and Georges is going to try and follow him through for fourth position. Can the Alpine hold on to this place? No, he can't. His line's been compromised. Fusilio is going to say thank you very much as well. And I think it's going to be 4 places lost in the space of 3 corners for M Short. He had a good start to this race, jumping up into second place. He's now down to 7th, but Casper gets quite a lot of wheel spin, and that might give the Alpine a chance to fight back. On the outside, though, it was always going to be very difficult. And that's how close the field is, and that's what happens if you get forced offline. The cars just follow through. You're a sitting duck. M Short down into 7th. Xander, Georges, Fusilio, and Casper all gaining a place.
Yes, perhaps he suffered the proverbial nosebleed being so far up the front. But one of the bigger issues Lukey's having is that on that straight just then, he had no ERS. The red light was blinking, and the drivers behind, they had managed it much better. So even without DRS, they were all going to fly past him. Then, of course, once his exit from 2 was compromised, he had no chance of defending against Fusilo. And then Casper had the racing line, so he had to back off into the chicane at the end of Sector 1. So yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle so far. Perhaps he put a little bit too much into the softs in qualifying, because of course those starting in the top 10 are on used tyres. But yeah, he's really struggled so far. But hopefully once he gets rid of those soft tyres, he'll be able to perform a little bit better. He might even consider coming in a little bit earlier to try and regain some of that time. But at the moment, it's looking a bit of a 2-horse race out the front as Xander and Georges go into wheel-to-wheel combat.
Yeah, Slipstream does seem to be extremely powerful on this game, and the DRS as well, of course, meaning Georges gets that position done before he's even got to the braking zone. Crispus as well, battling with Will LG. They're starting to drop back from CRG Gamers, so I know you said it's a 2-horse race at the front. Might be a 3rd horse trying to join later on. Crispus gets a bit of wheel spin coming out of turn 3, and Will says, thank you very much, I've got the DRS. I will retake my 10th position. Has he managed to hold on to that car? And you can just see the train behind him all the way down from Will to Isber. So those on the medium tyres that haven't pitted in this race so far, just all following in a train at the moment, and that is making it very difficult. Your car overheats, engine overheats, tyres overheat as well, and that is going to be the big one around the Bahrain International Circuit. But Blizzard and Mish, 2 drivers we've not talked about for a while, just because they're running their own race at the moment. This is kind of the ideal situation that you practice for, just driving around on your own. You can control the pace, you can control your tyres. As Mish there, very nearly, I think, almost losing the car coming through turn 12. The thing about being on your own is it's easier to lose that concentration.
It absolutely is. But he had closed within 1.1 seconds. He was actually 2/10 faster than Blitz at the previous lap, but that bit of a lock-up, slight lock-up at least, going into 12, costing 2/10. And here he comes into the pit. So he's decided to pit first. Traffic shouldn't be an issue. Should be nice clear track, so he will get the undercut advantage in Blizzard. You'd expect Blizzard will have to respond to this, otherwise he will lose the position.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard tyres going on the Aston Martin. Clean stop from the boys in green. He is out onto the circuit, and you would expect him to come out ahead of Duncan and Ogiano. Further back, no real position changes at the moment. Crispus still on the back of Will LG. He's the first driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty in this race, and Will now having to go defensive. Crispus tries to sell him the dummy down the inside into turn 4. This will be fantastic if it works for him. Hughes thinking, I want a piece of this action. He can get the popcorn out and see them battling side by side through 5 and 6. Crispus finally gets that position, and Will almost thinks about the dive down into turn 8. You do see that on occasion, but that did compromise his line. Used having to go slightly wide there as he tried to go all the way around the outside of the hairpin, and that allows Midnight to take the position. He is now up into 11th. The thing with this alternate strategy that all these guys are on, yes, it can work out quicker. It's not going to do so if you're spending so much time and losing so much time battling each other.
Yeah, this is playing beautifully into the hands of Gamer, actually. He's now caught the back of the soft tire queue, so to speak, not including Blizzard and Michi, of course, because they were a bit further ahead of George, Xander, etc. So it's going beautifully with Gamer. It's quite fitting, actually, that the two drivers, the most experienced drivers here, the only two drivers who were here the last time I was commentating in PSF1 back in Season 21, are leading their respective strategies.
Yeah, sometimes there is no substitute for experience. And you can see now Gamer has got onto the back of those that are on the soft tyres. I'm sure you can tell that lack of ERS is really costing him. Asikomi's thrown one up the inside in the Ferrari, very nearly wiping off his front wing doing that. And I think that might compromise his line and allow Gamer to perhaps have a go. Third man in the train, not able to do much. Asikomi weaving just to try and get some of that dirt off the tyres. Gamer thinks about the move. In the end, decides better of it this time around as Jack Eater's gone very deep into turn 4. He's going to get himself a warning for that, and that's going to allow Suso through. I think Benjamin had just got ahead, and Danirko follows through as well. So, despite starting in the ideal position, it has not been great as Benjamin, 5-second time penalty for corner cutting there. That is a big shame for him, and I wonder if that was passing Jack Eater. But of course, with Jack dropping further down the order, not an opportunity for the former F2 champion to give that position back.
And he'll have to serve that in the pit lane, so that's going to be a painful pit stop for him. So Blizzard did not respond to the pit stop for Michi, so that to me is telling me he's pushing for the soft to medium strategy. So he's on course to go for that alternate strategy. So at the end of the race, we're going to have at least a few drivers on 3 different strategies. So a long way to go in this one yet. So I suspect Michi is going to be able to undercut Blizzard, but then Blizzard will be able to come back at him for the net lead on those mediums, because I don't see why he would go the extra 2 laps if he wasn't going onto mediums. We're about to find out. He's in the pits now.
Yeah, so as Blizzard's going to go onto the medium tyres, we've got some more cars starting to come in as well now. Georges is into the pit. We've got one of the Red Bulls as well. That is Xander. It is going to be for Blizzard. Hard tyres on his car. That is a bit of a surprise from him. Does he think that he had enough pace left in his soft tyres to maybe retain the lead
Here
of this race?
Michi.
Going to find as they're coming out the pit lane, and you know what? It is going to be extremely close between them. Mitch has got the extra straight line speed though. Can he make it all the way around the outside with that temperature in his tyres? Fantastic move from him, but Blizzard's going to have the DRS down towards turn 4.
Yeah, he's going to try and come back at him. He's got the straight line speed. My goodness, he did. Straight back down again into the net lead, but this battle's going to go on for long. But that had to put Michi now. He wasn't in DRS at all during the first stint of Blitz, but now he is. So the battle is joined between these two on the hard tyres.
Yeah, definitely. And George is pitting, going on to the mediums, as did Xander, M Short, and Asikomi. Jack Eater pitted very early on, struggling. I wonder if he had a bit of damage. Doesn't make sense to pit that early, I don't think, from the mediums. He's gone to a set of the hard tyres. So his race really not going well. Only 2 drivers that are still out there that started on the soft are Fusilio and Casper now. How long do they try and stretch this out? Will they come into the pits this time around? Or will they leave it another lap, perhaps? Maybe just to get those ultimate fresh mediums. Later on, we're going to find out. Fusilio is into the pits. Casper stays out as Midnight has he's off at turn 12.
He has indeed. I caught the end of it. And yeah, he was spiraling onto the left side of the track. He has recovered it. No damage, I believe, so he's going to keep going. But that's a shame for him. He was on one of the alternate strategies. Fusilo's into the pits as well. So that leaves only one of the drivers who started in the top 10 on the softs, and that's Casper, who's being caught by CRG Gamer. So Casper's going to have incredibly fresh mediums when he comes on. He'll be able to go all the way in, almost at full pace, basically. So that mistake by Midnight, well, that's put him right down the order. He's now in the pits. He's put on some fresh hards. But yeah, unless he gets a safety car, he's well out of contention now for points.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is going to be pretty close for some of these that have gone for the medium tyres to try and get towards the end of the race. Like, for example, VRT Georges, who is using that pace on the mediums and a bit of the undercut as well. He's right on the back of Mish and Blizzard. So this is the battle for the net lead at this moment in time as we get up those that haven't stopped. Pretty much top 9 yet to come into the pits, and we'll be seeing Casper coming in very shortly indeed off that set of the soft tyres onto mediums right towards the end of the race. But these front 3 now have begun to get away ever so slightly. Fusilio, that 1 extra lap, dropped him a long way off the back of Georges, but he's still ahead of Xander, ahead of M Short, ahead of Asikomi. Duncan, who pitted earlier on, we'd be expecting him, obviously, I think, to make another stop later on. He is in 17th at the moment, and net 8th place. It's going to be very hard, I think, for last year's runner-up to get any points whatsoever, barring a late safety car. As Casper then comes into the pits. Final car into the pits off those soft tyres. That means CRG Gamer takes the lead.
Yep, Gamer into the lead. It'll be probably 5 or 6 laps before they pit. Here comes George's much better traction. Final corner, DRS open for Mitchie, but it's not going to matter because the traction on the mediums at this point is so much better. Is he going to have the overspeed to challenge Blizzard as well? If he's sensible, he'll just take the 1 place for now, try and get a better exit out 2, and then challenge Blizzard into 4.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get that extra grip. He was a bit faster that lap around than Miege coming out of turn 3, but it looks like Blizzard's just got enough this time around to try and hold on to that position. So this could be a very nervous lap or 2 for Blizzard, trying to keep that rapid Alfa Romeo behind him. He's just relying on that at the end of the race. Those tyres go, perhaps, maybe getting himself a puncture. Otherwise, if he gets ahead, he could well pull that 1 second gap. You might not be seeing him until later on in this race. Other battles that we've got, still that massive train still behind Christmas for what is now 2nd position. Here's Dan Urko sandwiched between the 2 McLarens. We've seen Ferrari and McLaren battling a lot in real life F1 this year, and they're battling a lot in PSGL at this moment. Gamer quite a bit ahead of these guys, so watch out for when he makes his pit stop. Currently, you'd expect him to come out probably just behind Asakomi and ahead of Duncan, he'd be hoping, of course, once he does make his pit stop. Don't expect it, though, for another 4 or 5 laps yet, as here comes Dan Urko. Might be able to make a move on Suso's. Not had a good exit coming out of the final corner. Ferrari with that extra pace. Down the inside he goes. And that is Dan Urko up into 6th position.
Yeah, I mean, the Gamer has... Oh, and he's off. Suso spearing off the track. Wow, that was a violent crash. I literally saw it in real time in the background. It was almost a little bit too reminiscent of what happened to Grosjean, but the opposite side. It was such a violent sort of snap, and off the track he goes, but no safety cars so far. It probably would be in real life, but it looks like just yellows in that sector at the moment. That will stop most overtake attempts, but yeah, that's a massive crash. That's our first retirement of the race.
Yeah, very reminiscent of what Mazepin did in the first race of the season, just getting it completely wrong. So here's our first retirement, and just before that happened, Georges did manage to use the DRS and did manage to get himself into the net lead of this race. Now, can Blizzard hang on to the back of him on those hard tyres, staying in that DRS train? And I'm surprised as well. No safety car, no virtual safety car. That seems to have been a pattern in some of the races I've seen around here. Quite a few drivers have got it wrong at turn 8, I think, in one of the PC races, and didn't seem to be any safety cars or virtual safety cars for that as well. So the steward's being very lenient on getting it out. Maybe Bernd Mailander's gone for a bit of a snooze in his safety car and they don't want to wake him up at this point in the race. Will, though, gets back past Christmas, and I think Yu's going to follow by for that 2nd and 3rd position. So those guys still battling hard on the mediums.
Yeah, and this is all going to hurt them a little bit later when it comes to softs, because it's going to mean they'll have more and a 3-second time, but that's going to definitely hurt later on. Look at this, though. Juice going alongside LG, trying to go around the outside. They've been battling pretty much the whole of this first stint. Look at LG squeezing Juice off. Oh, that could have ended in tears, but Juice fighting it out and getting ahead up into P2 to LG. Oh, whoa, what happened there? Really late braking by Christmas, goes around Juice. I don't know if Juice maybe got a legal overtake or something, because he suddenly slowed down to let LG back through. So that was a bit strange. Now he's battling against Christmas again. This is absolutely brilliant racing, but this is all playing into the hands of Gamer, who's now 4 seconds ahead of this queue. So by far the dominant medium runner at this stage of the race.
Yeah, his teammates doing him a fantastic favour at this moment in time. Will really playing the wingman mode. Well, at the moment, you've got Benjamin and Christmas going side by side through turn 12 into turn 13. Benjamin's managed to hold on all the way around the outside, gets that position. We've got Isma just running off track ever so slightly. Dan Urko's now got a much better run. He's going to get past Christmas. Is he going to be able to get past Benjamin as well? No, decides to stay behind. I think obviously going to try and go for an overtake onto the DRS, and I think that's what Yost is going to be trying as well, trying to get ahead of Will LG in that slipstream DRS open, and not a yacht the long Englishman can do at the moment. That is Yost up into 2nd place. Will thinks about fighting back, then decides better of it, and Dan Urko and Christmas are still battling. Christmas goes very deep. He now loses that position. Was in 2nd not so long ago. All of a sudden now finds himself in 6th place. That is how easily it can go wrong in league racing, folks. Georgia's still in that net lead, but Blizzard has been able to hang on, and Mies just about hanging on to that 1 second window as well.
Yes, you know, the pace difference between the mediums and the hards in race trim isn't quite enough normally to sort of break away that. And Midnight retired in the pit lane, so yeah, kind of suspected he was way off. And I think after not getting a safety car for that huge crash that happened to Suter, he probably thought, okay, well, I've got no chance now of getting back into this. So he's going to lick his wounds and return again. Yes, I mean, there's still a few laps to go before we see these medium runners coming in. But, you know, Gamer has the advantage of, you know, being able to pick his spot. He's not had to battle anyone pretty much since lap 1. So he's been able to calmly go about his business. And he is going to be the main threat, surely, to those who are starting in the top 10 or on the hards or mediums.
Yeah, we are just over the halfway point of this race. Just about to finish lap 15. 14 remaining then. And Gamer 66% on his front left tyre at the moment, so maybe one more lap before we see him come into the pits. Might be able to stretch it out tiny bit longer. It does look as though this pace that he's been setting has just used his mediums up a tiny bit more than some of those other drivers, and in fact you've seen Just has closed that gap to just less than 4 seconds at the moment, but things calming down a bit of a lull. Sometimes in F1 League racing, the first bit of the race you don't get too much action, then it all kicks off. It seems like we've had everything happened in the first part. Now things are almost calming down as Asikomi and Emshaw start battling over 14th place. But the final few laps, I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, it is truly going to kick off in this race as the different strategies start coming into play. And the longer, in my opinion, the longer Blizzard hangs on to the back of George's, as long as he's not ruining his tyres in the dirty air, he's going to be much quicker perhaps in the final couple of laps.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he went a lot further than any of the other hard runners who in the top 10 who pitted earlier on. But I'm still surprised he didn't go on the mediums, but perhaps he's confident in the pace he's got on these mediums. He's going to be up against some very fast soft runners later on. But given all the battling he's done, he's probably only got Gamer to worry about for the time being. And clearing that traffic is going to be difficult because when Gamer chases them down, it's going to be this group of 6 cars that he's got to try and fight his way through. Some of them have penalties, or will have penalties, of course, by then possibly. So that will make it a little bit easier for him. But yeah, he's going to be thinking about that pit stop very soon. Lap 17 now. This is pretty much where the window for the softs opens.
Yeah, and there we go. As if you predicted it, Christmas comes into the pit, puts on those red wall tyres. I suppose red and green is a fairly Christmassy colour for the TTG driver. Out he goes, and he is going to come out a long way down the order. Should still just about, I think, stay ahead of Jack Eater, but not been the race he would have wanted. If Gamer pits now, he'd come out round about where Duncan is, so I think he'll be hoping that Duncan comes into the pits fairly shortly and gets rid of his medium tyres for this 2-stop strategy that he's trying, but it has really not worked out. Whatever incident happened between him and Shizuo Ogiana that caused them both to come into the pit has definitely compromised both of the races. It is still Gamer leading. Yost now gets that gap down to 3.2 seconds now that he's got 3 of Will LG. He's just starting to turn the wick up a bit. Former runner-up in PSGL, 3rd place as well in the previous season. One of the most consistent drivers on F1 2020. Can he carry that form onto this game? And he could still get himself a very decent points finish indeed. George's, he's still in this free air, and luckily for him, he's not going to catch up to any of these medium runners before they have him to pit, so that's one less thing for him to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Here comes Gamer. Gamer peeling off to the pits. Yeah, looks like Juice is as well. LG will have to go another lap, otherwise he'd have to double stack behind Gamer. So, yeah, Benjamin carries on as well. So, Christmas lighting up the timing screens in Sector 2. So he's going very fast, trying to undercut some of these medium runs coming in. He won't be undercutting Gamer that much, of course, because he was a few seconds up the road. But here we go then. This is where the Bahrain Grand Prix in League Racing normally comes good. When the guys on the alternative strategy pit and then have to hunt down those who have gone by now quite long on those tyres that they pitted on earlier on.
Yeah, Casper looked as though he was getting a bit frustrated while all that was going on. He's behind Xander, both driving for VSR. Casper thought about a move. He's in 9th place at the moment. Gamer did come out behind Duncan, about 1 second behind, and Christmas has managed to get that gap down to 2.7 seconds and jump Yost in all of that. But 1 lap extra on those soft tyres doesn't seem like much, around the Bahrain International Circuit, it is definitely quite a lot. Air temperature, we're talking 25 degrees at the moment, track temperature 30 degrees. Unsurprisingly, very slow, very small chance of rain. Like Mark said, normally it's realistically a 0% chance of getting rain. Dareko down the inside of Shizu Ogiano before the braking zone for turn 9, taking full advantage of those soft tyres, as is Gamer getting ahead of Duncan, so that's one less car for him to worry about. It's only going to be, what, 3-4 laps before Gamer's onto the back of M Short and Asakome, and then we'll see what he can do on those fresh softs.
Yeah, he came out about 9.5 seconds behind Blizzard, just as a reference. And then obviously a couple of tenths more for George's. For some reason I couldn't get George's time information disappeared for me for some reason, so I can't see what his gaps are. As the rest of the medium runners start to peel in, like the LG and Benjamin, and Christmas picking up. He's now got 6 seconds of time penalty, so that's not good news for him. But he did manage to undercut Juiced during that. He's got Juiced right behind him. So he's actually managed to undercut quite a few of those drivers. So he's actually now the second highest runner on that alternate strategy thanks to that undercut, but those penalties will relegate him later on. They're chasing that. Duncan, well, he's kind of in no man's land. I'm guessing he's going to pit shortly for softs and maybe try and nick the fast lap, but I think points for the championship runner-up last season, of course, not a good start to the season for him.
Yeah, you can just see now the penalty situation. It has been fairly clean around this circuit. Christmas on 9 seconds, Yost on 3 seconds at this moment in time. And with how close the field is, that could definitely cost them. But this is the battle for the lead. Georges versus Blizzard versus Mish. And also, we've now seen Fusilio, Xander, Casper get onto the back of this. Asakome and M-Shorts aren't too far back either. And with the pace Gamer's got on those soft tyres, we might have a 9-car train for the lead with just over 10 laps remaining at this moment in time. You've got Isma and Ogiano battling. Isma gets that position on those soft tyres. He's up into 15th. Yost picks up another 3-second time penalty. Keeping it clean definitely looks like it's going to be the name of the game this season. The drivers not wanting to give an inch to their opponents. 10 laps to go. Georges on the mediums, Blizzard on the hards, Mish on the older hard tyres as well. Went for that very aggressive strategy as Casper again just pulls out ever so slightly. Thinks about a move on Xander. Not able to do so. Duncan's coming to the pits for his final pit stop. He'll be putting on the softs and just having a bit of a glory run, seeing if he can get the fastest lap, just for morale more than anything else.
Yeah, Christmas actually still has the fastest lap, a 1:26.684. Gamer didn't actually go faster than that. He was actually 4 tenths slower on that particular lap, even including DRS that he had getting past Duncan. So that's surprising, but he's now only 1.1 seconds behind Short. I mean, yes, he didn't get the fastest lap, but he's still going far, far quicker than the drivers in front of him.
Yeah, he's flying at the moment, and there's a bit of a gap opened up between Asakome and M-Short, so that's going to help him out ever so slightly, so he's not going to have to worry about M-Short having the DRS when it comes to making that overtake. I'm sure Georges would absolutely love to have someone in front of him to give him the DRS at this moment in time. Those mediums now might be the point where they start feeling a tad worse than the hard tyres. A couple of laps ago, the gap went down to about 1/2 tenths of a second, but Blizzard just not quite close enough to pull off the move. He has got 2 warnings as well. Has CRG Blizzard. You can use all the TAS commands in the chat to try and help yourself out and find out about your drivers. Blizzard has 2 warnings. Georges and Mish only have 1 as Benjamin picks up his first warning, and Blizzard picks up the slipstream, picks up the DRS, picks up the lead of this race. Down the inside he goes with 9 laps remaining. Takes the lead of this race. Further back, Gamer goes up into 8th place. Isma sets the fastest lap. I said it was going to start heating up in the final stages. Blizzard now has the lead. He's got to try and keep it clean, though. One mistake with how close things are as Casper and Xander go side by side. They've got locked together there. They're both going to run off track. That's going to drop them way off the cars. Up ahead and play into the hands of Asakome and Gamer. I was about to say, Blizzard, he gets a penalty at the moment. That would still drop him round about where Casper and Xander are, so needs to be careful.
Yeah, Casper went very late on the brakes into 4. It was a fair move. They did sort of end up getting locked together, as you say, which in turn then forced Xander off the road slightly, but I think that was accidental. I don't think Casper intended that. He was making the apex. They just kind of came together there. So Casper up to 5th. He's got the freshest mediums of anybody in the top 10. So he's still in with the fight for the podium. Gamer now right on the back of Asakome. He's got so much more grip than the cars ahead. But now, unlike M Short, it's kind of a train of traffic now, so he's going to have to rely on the superior traction to get the better exit, because the softs, the difference they make is the traction off the corner. So even if the cars ahead have DRS, because they're a step tied down, if you can get a good exit, you should still have better acceleration, better traction to get ahead, and we're going to see a great demonstration of that right now as he flies past Ferrari and might even get the Red Bull as well.
Yeah, there we go. Gamer flying past Asicone, then up into 7th position now for CRG Gamer. The Ferrari's going to try and fight round the outside of the Williams, but not able to do so. Duncan picks up his first time penalty, not really going to have too much of an impact on his race. And look at that traction Gamer gets. Xander's got no ERS. He's got nothing to fight with here. 2 cars in 2 DRS straights then for the Williams. Gets himself ahead of Gamer. This is all starting to look very good at the moment for CRG Gamer. Sam Corboy's going to be feeling very happy with this performance. He's up into 6th position. All of a sudden, he's only 3 seconds off the lead of this race, and it is still Blizzard as Christmas around the gain at turn 7.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's a classic mistake at Bahrain in 2021. Just went onto the curbs, and yeah, I was just watching that little gaggle cars, and yeah, that was just a very standard spin. Shame for Christmas, because although he had the penalties, he was in a good position in terms of his track position. But yeah, he's got no chance of getting points now. But yeah, now Gamer right on the back of Casper. 2 drivers very familiar with each other in this tier. They've battled each other many times. Oh, both of them getting a wiggle on the rear there. But it's going to feel a lot worse for Casper compared to the softs that Gamer, which will still be very fresh at this point. So if he can get ahead of Casper and Fusilo, then yeah, he's right in the fight of this podium. And here we go then, up to P5. He's going to go with ease. Casper is not even going to bother fighting this, because he knows he's still got the fresh tyres and could still pick up some places later on in the race.
Yeah, definitely. And there we go then. Good move by Gamer. Gets himself up into 5th. Some of the other soft members starting to make a move as well. Yost now up into 9th. M Short in 10th. What looked like a fantastic first performance in the top tier in qualifying, and in the first lap of this race is just starting to fall a bit short now. I'll be very surprised if he manages to hold on to that points position with Danirko. Will LG not too far behind either. Yost, though, with that 3-second time penalty, will that cost him at all in this race? Blizzard, though, still in the lead, and that gap is just starting to grow ever so slightly. 0.8 of a second. That S's section is where you'll see a lot of the obviously the dirty air play a part on this game. But last lap around, Blizzard, he was only a 10th faster than Georges. Mish was a bit slower than the VRT man. It's just Blizzard can't quite get that 1 second gap by the time we get to the DRS zone, and that allows the Alfa Romeo to close in, even if he's not quite got the grip in those mediums anymore. Yeah,
but what Blizzard is doing, and what he has done so well over the years, is manage his ERS. He's always a master of that. That's one of the reasons he overtook earlier. He was just looking after the DRS. He had 100%. George had no chance of ending. But even now, even though he's not got DRS, he's still got 70% ERS, which is remarkable, considering he's having to defend from the drivers behind, some of whom are on much faster tyres at this stage. So doing very well at the moment. Now, Gamer for the first time. It's now, and Fusilo having half a look at Michi there, but there was never a gap there on to go for, and that probably compromised him a little bit, and that's going to put him into the clutches of Gamer very shortly, I suspect.
Yeah, I think that move might have just given the Gamer the opportunity he needs. Didn't quite have the straight line speed, though, to get ahead of Fusilo there, but if he starts getting that Haas driver defending it, it's going to play into his hands. Danirko's got ahead of M Short then, and used right on the back of Asicome and Zandi, so we're starting to see a bit more of this battle further back as there goes Gamer. Gets the move down the inside, though. Is we going to see the Haas get the cutback?
Maybe, but he's going to have the inside and the better tyres. But yeah, that was lovely. He dinked to the left and then dived back to the right. Lovely little dummy there. I mean, the tyres obviously helped, but that was a superb move by Gamer.
Yeah, fantastic move. He is up into 4th position, then started last season with 2 second places at the Bahrain Short Circuit and then at Singapore. The season just tended to fall away a tiny bit after that. Hopefully this time things go better for him, as I think that is Christmas maybe who is around again in the Aston Martin. He's really starting to find things going a bit hard at the moment, and George is just giving a bit of a weave there down the straight. He's starting to lose, I think, a lot of grip in those medium tyres, and as soon as he drops outside of the DRS zone, he's going to be under a lot of pressure. Gamer's putting Mish under a lot of pressure then here at the moment. Is he's going to put the soft runner onto the podium with 5 laps to go. He's going to try and move down the inside into turn 1, still has the extra grip on those tyres, and that is Gamer up into 3rd.
This is turning into a sensational driving gamer. I remember he did something similar Singapore many years ago on the Untitled strategy, and he was imperious, and it's free wide behind. Danako, Xander, and Azakome were very briefly, Juice, Danako, and Xander, I should say, very briefly free ride. Juice moving up into P7, Danako in P8, and yeah, Christmas, I think he might, yeah, he's retired the car. He spanned twice on that lap. I think he's just destroyed the tyres completely, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely does seem to be a feature on this game. Once you've spun and overheated your tyres, it does seem to be a bit difficult. Mark coming up with a very interesting point here. It might now be crucial for Blizzard to keep Georges within his DRS because of how quick Gamer is going. Needs to do anything to stop the Williams fighting his way through the field. Gamer just gets a bit of a wobble on there. First little, well, second wobble we've actually seen from him, but as the laps go on, it's going to get harder and harder on those soft tyres for him to make a move. Very similar VRS levels. If anything, Georges has just got a tiny bit more. And then Blizzard with even more than so. He's about 50% before we get to the braking zone for the final corner. So he's doing a very fantastic job managing his electrical energy. Again, from the hybrid system and these 1.6 litre engines as Gamer there with the DRS open. It doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to Georges this time around to do anything. I imagine now he's going to have to get a bit more imaginative, and the pace advantage of those soft tyres is just starting to go away, especially against those on the hards.
Yeah, luckily he's only got one warning at the moment, so he has got a little bit to play with in terms of, you know, track limits and things like that. But yeah, I think similar thing happened to Bahrain in the PC top tier race. He had that window where he had to kind of get in front, but then when he couldn't, the sort of top tyres went away from him and he had to settle for that third place on track. And that could be repeating itself here with Gamer, to be honest. But unlike then, when they were both, you know, on sort of older tyres, you got a mix of tyres here. You got mediums on Georges and hards on Blizzards. And Georges tyres are definitely going to be wearing out faster than Blizzards at this stage. So what Gamer wants to do is just keep hounding the back of him and force a mistake. Because if he can get ahead of Georges on this lap, especially into turn one at the start of lap 27, then he has got half a chance getting ahead of Blizzard for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and things are looking pretty good for Williams as well. LG's managed to get himself up into 10th place, could well get himself that debut points. George is a bit further back behind Blizzard this time around, so he'll still have the DRS, but the slipstream will not be as powerful, and will that just give Gamer that opportunity he needs? Not quite the traction, and I don't think he's quite got the straight line speed. You can see, especially in that first part of the straight, George is just able to pull away, and Gamer has to sit back for now. Danako down the inside then of Use into 7th place. Would have got that anyway on penalties, but it's not looking too bad for Danako on his debut at the moment. Use currently stands to drop outside the points. That will promote Will up into 9th place.
Oh, he goes deep, he goes deep. Georges goes really deep into 4, and Gamer's ahead. They forced the mistake at him. Gamer sort of went to the outside to try and fill his mirrors, and Georges went deep into 4. Gamer got the little switchback and was able to get onto the power a little bit better and get ahead of him before the end of Sector 1. So again, very good racemanship from Gamer just to force the error from the less experienced Georges. And now we have two drivers who have been in PSGL F1 many seasons leading the front. You know, they're you know, in terms of actual age, they're not that old, but in terms of race experience in PSGL, they're both pretty ancient. Both well over 100 races in PSGL F1, and now they are fighting for the lead of this race in the final few laps.
Yeah, Blizzard's last win, of course, was last season at the French Grand Prix. I think it was season 25, the last time he didn't win a race. Well, he won a race that wasn't at the circuit Paul Ricard. Gamer, he hasn't won since season 27. He took a fantastic victory that time around, and that was at Silverstone. What can he do here at Bahrain? 2 laps remaining. Has he got anything left in those tyres? Has he got anything left in that battery? And judging by the system we're seeing at the moment, it doesn't look so. Will LG gets himself up into 9th place, getting ahead of Xander. Can he somehow force Blizzard into a mistake? We've seen him do it to Georges, who is a much younger driver. Doing it to Blizzard, his fellow comrade, let's not forget, is going to be so much harder.
Yes, I think Gamer's going to definitely save battery on this lap. He's going to build everything up as much as he can. And then it's all going to come down to Sector 3. It's going to come down to getting that good exit from turn 12, just to sort of accelerate down, 13 I should say, accelerate down to the end of the lap to be as close as possible. get the braking right, get the traction right, and give him all the chances he can to be as close as possible on the main straight. And then if it doesn't work there, get as good enough exits as possible on turn 1 to try and challenge into 4. So it's not over yet, but Blizzard, he's been in this position many times before and has a gamer, so it's all going to come down to really individual skill here.
Yeah, definitely. And once again at Bahrain, as it has done in pretty much every single tier, it's going to come down to the final lap of the race. Mish was all over the back of Georges and just made an ever so slight mistake, and that allowed Fusilo to get past him coming out of turn 10. So he is now up into 4th place, but this is the main battle, and I don't think Gamer's got anything really left in the tank to fight with. 1 lap to go. 0.8 of a second is the gap at the moment. It's just a bit too much for him to really do anything about. Blizzard holds on to that position. Are we going to see anyone go for the overtakes on the final lap? Gamer's got a bit deep there as Asakomi gets a penalty and retires in the pit. So we're down another car. Shizuo Giano is also retired on this lap as well. So he is out of the race. We are down to, I believe, just 15 runners. Gamer looks a bit too far behind to do anything. So Blizzard, perhaps, as long as he doesn't get himself a warning, looks safe to take this victory. Who's going to get the final step on the podium? Isma's starting to pick up a penalty as well, so that could be a reprieve for Hughes. Fusilio's all over the back of Georges, and he's got Mish not too far behind. It is getting very exciting. Xander's managed to get ahead of Isma as well, so he's back into the point out on track. I wonder if Isma's now really starting to struggle on that set of the soft tyres. Gamer, he's got to rely on a mistake now for Blizzard. There are not too many corners remaining as he comes through turn 12. That's really the last massively tricky one. Turn 13, as long as he keeps it nice and clean through here, you'd imagine he can take it safe through the final couple of corners. It has been an absolutely fantastic race from these drivers. Blizzard has managed it superbly. He went on the hard tyres. We thought that might have been a mistake. What do we know? He definitely knew what he was doing. Blizzard heads towards the finish line, takes the victory here in Bahrain. Gamer makes it a CRG 1-2. Georges just holds off Fusilio on the line 1 lap longer. I think we'd have seen a Haas on the podium. Mish is in 5th. Casper, Danirko, Will, LG finally gets points in the F1 tier with 8th place. Dander and Isma rounding out the points. Just, M. Short, Benjamin, Duncan and Jack Eater just missing out. But what a fantastic race that was. Blizzard, he called everything right and takes the victory, looking very good from pole position.
Yeah, I mean, you have 3 different strategies in the top 3. That just reflects how good a race that was. That was a really entertaining race. But yeah, Blizzard is back. He is a race winner and thoroughly deserved too. Took pole in dominating fashion. The race wasn't so easy. He had some really hard battles against the like of Michi and Georges early on, and Gamer came at him. Just ran out of tyres in the end, but Gamer can be very proud of his showing the power of the alternate strategy outside top 10. So yeah, that's a really nice podium. No one dominated in terms of the race, so I think we're in for a really special season based on that.
Yeah, most certainly, just with how close it was, and a few of those drivers perhaps expected to be fast, not finishing quite so well. But it is Blizzard who takes the victory. Gamer in 2nd, 2 very experienced PSGL veterans, and a man who made his debut in PSGL in the top tier, finishing in 3rd. VRT Georges. Fusilio is in 4th. Mish just making that slight mistake coming out of turn 10 on the penultimate lap. He is in 5th. Casper 6th. Danirko gaining 10 places to finish in 7th. Will getting his first points in 8th. Xander, that lock with Casper really costing him, as well as a bad start. Could only finish in 9th. Isma just getting the final point ahead of Just and M. Short. Benjamin, not an ideal race as a reserve for him. After issues in qualifying, he is 13th. Duncan and Jack Eater were the final finishers. Asakomi, Ogiano, Christmas, Midnight and Suso failed to make the checkered flag of what was an absolutely exhilarating first race of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of expectation going into this race, but yeah, it was a race that was, in the end, the top 2 positions went to the veterans, which for me personally is quite nice to see. But got a big. I did talk about him quite a bit in the sort of build up to the race during qualifying. But yeah, Georges had a great performance today. Almost threatened for the race win, which in his first race in the top tier is highly impressive. So we'll see a lot more of him as the season goes on. Perhaps a future champion we've just seen with that podium position. But Blizzard, he has started his long quest for a third title in the best possible way.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, it was quite a few seasons ago now where he claimed that title. Normally the drivers do it fairly close together, as I'm just testing out my eyesight here. Season 22, so 7 seasons ago, and it looks like he is finding that form again. It was almost like a switch flicked at the end of last season, really. And great to see Gamer up there. He started last season well. He got 30 points in the first 3 races of season 28. In the next 7, he got 9 points. He'll be hoping that he starts well this time and keeps that up. Qualifying, always awkward to see around here whether qualifying let him down, but maybe if he'd have started 11th instead of 14th, that could have made a difference and he might have got the victory.
Yeah, that could well have made the difference. But yeah, just run out of tyres at the end there. But that you see that happening often. There's that little window when you get to the front of the queue, and if you can't get past them sort of in timely fashion, then you just run out of tyres. You just don't have that ultimate traction out of the front corner, which is so important to get into the DRS zone, to be in a position to challenge into turn 1 or turn 4. But you can still be extremely pleased with that result. A CRG 1-2 to start the season. I think their squad will be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, most definitely, and they've got every reason to be delighted. But let's get the interviews underway then, and let's start with the man who has started in absolutely perfect fashion this season, claiming victory from pole position. It is CRG Blizzard. You were definitely made to fight for that one, but did everything perfectly right, kept it nice and clean, and starting the season in the perfect way.
Yeah, I mean, going to the season, this is what I set out to do. Wilson out of the equation, so I was going for the championship, and this is a really good start.
Yeah, definitely was. We saw Mish come into the pits quite early on and go for the hard tyres. You came in a couple of laps after, went for the hards. Was that something that you were going to do anyway in practice, or was the original plan perhaps to go soft mediums like the majority of the field did?
Well, I tested soft medium, and my tyre wear was pretty bad on it, so if I had a gap like 2.5 seconds or so, then I would go on to soft medium, stretching to lap 11. But my tyre wear wasn't good enough for that on the soft, so I ended up just pitting lap 10, I believe, and going on hards, following George's and passing him, and then holding off Gamer.
Yeah, definitely did manage to hold off Gamer. You've took the victory here, and next time out, it's a track that I'm sure is going to strike fear into everyone else. It is the Paul Ricard circuit, a track that's been very successful for yourself over the years. It's got to be a great opportunity to claim 2 wins in the first 2 races.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to France. Well, I don't really like driving it as much as you would think, but it's a really good track for my speed and my driving style. So, yeah, just hoping for a win in that one as well.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Mark, do you have any questions for our race winner?
Well, it's good to see you back at the front, Blizzard. I can, still remember overseeing your sort of rise to the top of PSGL way back when you won your first championship. So, after that display, you must be pretty confident on moving forward and perhaps getting that elusive 3rd crown.
Yeah, I feel like I've always deserved the 3rd one because we only had 2 seasons left on 2018. But it'd be great to get the 3rd one finally after multiple years of not having any success.
Yeah, well, I think everyone else will definitely be thinking you've got a fantastic chance of taking that third championship. Then I'll let you head off, Blizzard.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring in the man who looked at one bit as though he was going to be the favourite to take this race, but those soft tyres just starting to run out of steam at the end of the race, and it is CRG Gamer. A brilliant performance from yourself on the alternate strategy, just didn't have the tyres at the end and didn't have the ERS to close in on your fellow CRG driver in Blizzard.
That's exactly... Oh, am I on now? Yeah. That's exactly right, pretty much. Yeah, the aim was pretty much always to go for the alternate strategy. Unless you're starting sort of top 2 or 3, I didn't really see the soft, hard or medium really being viable. So, yeah, it played out pretty perfectly. Good start, and then sort of on my own majority of the race, actually. Pulled away from the guys behind, and then was just sort of sat there. But yeah, it was pretty crucial to get the moves done in the last few laps, obviously, as it is on the soft tyres. But yeah, I knew they'd go away, which is why I needed to get the moves done quickly. And just ran out just before catching Blizzard. But yeah, it's a very good result for the first race, that's for sure.
Yeah, like you said, you were pretty much on your own for a lot of that race. You went for 11th place, you ended up starting in 14th. Do you think maybe if you'd have started in 11th and not had to make as many moves on the first lap, that could have made a difference and you could have been the victor today?
Well, maybe, but I haven't got a magic ball, so I don't know. But yeah, to be honest, the qualifying was actually really intense. He was sort of trying to back off and judge where 11th was, which was probably more difficult than just doing a quick lap. So yeah, that was quite interesting, and I was quite annoyed actually after the qualifying that I was so far down. But yeah, I don't think that it would have made a really a big difference. I still would have had the same cars, I think, to get through at the end. So yeah, I don't think it made much difference, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah, definitely did. Mark, do you have any questions for Gamer?
Well, it's always nice to speak to you, Gamer. I've seen a lot of your victories in PSGL F1 and podiums over the years. In fact, your sort of alternate strategy reminded me of your what is, I still think, your best ever F1 performance, Singapore, back in season 21, where you sort of stormed to the front on the alternate strategy. But so I said it to Blizzard, but do you think realistically you can be entitled contention, or are you sort of just almost aiming to go as far as you can in terms of these sort of results?
Well, first of all, thanks very much, and it's nice to have you back commentating. But yeah, I think it's just taking it race by race, really, and we'll see sort of where we end up. I know there's a few races I think that I'm not going to be able to make, so that's obviously not going to help in terms of the championship. But yeah, we'll take it as it comes, and the last few seasons have started off quite strong and then faded towards the end. So that's something that I want to try and make not happen this time. And yeah, ask me again in a few races' time, and I might be able to give you a better answer.
Well, I think if we see you in a few races' time, that'll have shown that your start to the season hasn't faded away. So hopefully, for your sake, we do get to you speak again. Congratulations, Gamer, on a fantastic podium.
Thank you very much.
And as we said, we've had a couple of older faces. Let's bring someone in who's fairly new to all this, in the top tier, at least in PSGL. We are going to now bring in the man who finished in third place, went for that soft-medium strategy, and in the end, just tyres perhaps wore out ever so slightly. It is VRT Georges, but still a fantastic performance from yourself.
Hello guys, thanks for having me. Sorry, can you please repeat the question because I joined a bit late?
You went for that soft-medium strategy, finished in third place in your first race on the top tier. Was it just your tyres perhaps just going away and meant you couldn't hold off Blizzard and Gamer?
Yes, I think so. I think also the round didn't start really well for myself in qualifying. I had a bit of some disconnects. I couldn't finish one lap, so I was already frustrated. And then I said to myself I wanted to go the opposite tires to everyone else, and I saw Blizzard pit, so I followed him and saw him on the hards. So I decided to go on the mediums. But as you said, like the last couple of laps, I think 4 or 5 laps, they were honestly undrivable. But I tried my best to stick in Blizzard's DRS so I can try and hold up Gamer because he was flying.
You didn't do many races last season in F2. You only did, I think, 2 races, finishing 4th in the final race of the season. This must give you a lot of confidence ahead of this season that you can really compete with the best of the best on the PlayStation platform.
Yes, last game cycle, I was always playing catch up to everyone else because I started on the controller and then I moved to the wheel. So I was always learning new stuff. But this game, I'm quite confident and most importantly motivated to race against these people because they're the best on PlayStation. And I hope at least, although it's I think it's not a bad result, but I hope to be fighting for more wins this season.
Yeah, I think you've definitely got a chance of that. Mark, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just have to say, I talked about you during qualifying as one of the drivers to watch, and you've, you have proven me to be right. So thanks for that. I didn't look like a fool after talking about that. But yeah, going forwards, obviously less experience than some of the other established names in PSGL F1. What's your approach going to be for the next few races?
First of all, thank you for believing in me. But my approach is pretty much, focusing round by round, seeing where I can optimize my setup now that I have a bit more time to practice. So basically, I'll try and optimize my setup, try and qualify better. And I have nothing to lose compared to the other. All I have is to prove myself, and I don't have the pressure of, maybe people don't expect me to perform as much as the others. So hopefully this will play into my advantage.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Mark, did you have another question?
No, that was it.
Well, congratulations, Georges. I'll let you head off and celebrate your first podium of the season, and who knows, we may see you again this season.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your commentary.
Well, that's it from our top three of what I'm sure everyone who was watching will agree was an absolutely fantastic race. They did well, but perhaps some of those that you'd expect, judging by previous seasons, to be high up the order, not doing so well. Duncan and you, second and third in the championship last season, failing to get any points. Thankfully, 12 more races to go. Surely they'll be able to fight back, and surely we'll see them heading up towards the front of the order again.
I think so. I mean, a season opener is often a bit of a cluster in terms of the result. You don't often see, the nailed on result. I mean, as good as Blizzard is, I wasn't expecting him to win today the way he did, especially in qualifying, to be brutally honest. But, he's just, back to his very best, at least at the moment. But yeah, likes of Juice and Duncan, yeah, they just, especially in Juice's case, he spent a lot of time battling in in sort of the alternate strategy, just not being able to be near where Gamer was. And of course, Duncan had a bit of an issue early on, which caused him to pit early, which, a two-stop at Bahrain maybe worked in the past from the tyre where it was a little bit worse. But no, it's always a nailed on one stop one way or the other. So once he had to do two stops at least, he was going to always struggle to get points without safety car. I mean, there should have been one, arguably, when we saw that huge crash sort of halfway through the race, but it didn't come. So unfortunately for Duncan, he had to just, settle for nothing. And, just best thing to do always when you have a race like that is just forget it, as there's always another race coming up to sort of fight back.
Yeah, and next time out, France, another track that can be a bit borderline on the tyre wear with the one stop and two starts, but another track that he says he doesn't enjoy, but Blizzard always does fantastically well on.
Oh, I mean, if we're talking like, I mean, in terms of PSGL1, I mean, Big C was always incredible at Silverstone in his prime. I think he won there 5 times or something ridiculous like that. I mean, Blizzard can't be that far behind in terms of wins at France. I mean, it is, he may not like it. I mean, I'm looking through the old standings, and yeah, he's got like at least, well, let's see how many. Yeah, I think he's got at least 3 wins there, and a podium there. And he won, 4 wins he's got there during his PSGL1 career. So he's looking for a 5th win. And yeah, if for some reason, I've seen him win there in other leagues as well. That's the crazy thing. It's just, for whatever reason, that track is just, they go hand in hand together. And he'll be the overwhelming favourite, especially now he's won this race going into France. Anyone who's watched PSGL1 regularly, he'll be the overwhelming favourite to win in France next week.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can't wait for that one, definitely. And I'm sure you guys watching can't as well. You don't have to wait too long, though, for some more PSGL action. Wednesday, we'll see the lower tiers on the PC, taking you through the action. Tiers 2 and 3 will be streamed with the top tier on the PC as Jarno Opmeer goes to make it 2 wins out of 2, starting at 7 p.m. with George Morgan and Jack Canaan taking you through that action. The lower tiers, F12 and F13 on the PS, are also on a Thursday, F9 to F11 on a Sunday, with the top 8 tiers on the Monday. Myself and Mark bringing you the action from 8 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, for subscribing. The growth of PSGL over the last few months has been absolutely astronomical. We really, really do appreciate. Couldn't do this without you, so thank you so much. Thank you to all the drivers as well for providing a brilliant race. Thanks to Mark for joining me in the commentary box, and the pair of us will see you at 8 p.m. next week for the French Grand Prix. Thank you once more, and goodbye.